The rain fell softly against the windows of the small cafe on Market Street in Seattle, creating a rhythmic backdrop to Elena's thoughts. At 37, she had accomplished everything she'd set out to do: a successful career as an architect, a beautiful apartment overlooking Elliott Bay, friends who loved her, and a life that looked perfect from the outside. Yet something essential was missing, a connection to herself that had been fading for years. Elena stirred her coffee absently, staring at the website open on her laptop. The profile showed a man with kind eyes and an approachable smile. Beto Alves, sexologist and tantric practitioner, the header read, specializing in female libido restoration, sexual energy cultivation, and somatic therapies. She had been researching for weeks, ever since her closest friend, Margaret, had gently suggested that Elena's chronic fatigue and emotional numbness might be connected to something deeper than work stress. "When was the last time you felt truly alive in your body?" Margaret had asked. Elena couldn't remember. The statistics on the website were staggering. Over 60% of women in their 30s and 40s experienced some form of libido disconnect, whether too much desire with no fulfillment or, more commonly, a complete absence of sexual energy. Elena fell into the latter category. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt genuine desire, not just the intellectual idea of it. Taking a deep breath, she clicked the schedule consultation button. The first session. Beto's office was nothing like Elena expected. Instead of clinical white walls and uncomfortable chairs, she found herself in a warm space filled with soft lighting, plants, and the gentle scent of sandalwood. Comfortable floor cushions surrounded a low table, and large windows overlooked a garden still green despite the Pacific Northwest winter. "Elena, welcome," Beto said, extending his hand. At 35, he had an understated presence, confident but not overwhelming, professional yet genuinely warm. "Please, make yourself comfortable wherever you feel best." Elena chose a cushioned chair near the window, her architect's eye appreciating the thoughtful design of the space. Beto sat across from her, maintaining a respectful distance. "Tell me what brought you here," he began simply. The words tumbled out. Elena described years of disconnection from her body, relationships that felt more like performances than genuine connections, and a creeping sense that she was living her life from the outside looking in. "I feel like I'm watching myself go through the motions," she confessed. "Especially when it comes to intimacy. I know what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to respond, but I don't actually feel anything." Beto nodded, his expression compassionate. "What you're describing is extremely common. Society teaches us, especially women, to perform, to meet expectations, to look right, to respond correctly. But true libido, authentic sexual energy, isn't about performance. It's about presence, about genuine sensation and connection to yourself." "Can it be fixed?" Elena asked, vulnerability creeping into her voice. "This isn't about fixing," Beto replied gently. "You're not broken. This is about remembering, rediscovering what your body already knows, but has forgotten how to access." He explained his approach, a combination of education about sexual energy, breathwork practices, somatic awareness exercises, and eventually, his specialized method called intimate alchemy, a tantric practice designed to elevate and align sexual energy through conscious, present awareness. "We'll go at your pace," Beto assured her. "Each session builds on the last. The goal isn't some destination, but rather cultivating a sustainable connection to your authentic desire." Elena left that first session with homework. 15 minutes of daily breathwork and a journal prompt. When did I last feel truly present in my body? Weeks 2 through 4, building awareness. The second session introduced Elena to conscious breathing techniques. Beto taught her to breathe deeply into her lower abdomen, noticing where she held tension and where energy flowed freely. "Most of us breathe shallowly," he explained, demonstrating. We live in our heads, cut off from the body below our neck. Deep breathing reconnects those circuits. Elena practiced, surprised at how difficult it was to simply breathe and pay attention. Her mind wandered constantly to her to-do list, her next project deadline, her mother's upcoming birthday. That's normal, Beto reassured her when she mentioned her frustration. The mind will always try to pull you away. The practice is noticing and gently returning to sensation. By the third week, Elena began experiencing subtle shifts. During her morning breathwork, she sometimes felt tingling in her limbs, warmth spreading through her torso. Nothing dramatic, but definitely something. The fourth session introduced gentle movement, slow, conscious stretches designed to release tension held in the hips and pelvis. Beto guided her through the positions, but never touched her, always maintaining professional boundaries while creating a safe container for exploration. Notice where you feel resistance, he instructed, as Elena moved through a hip-opening sequence. Don't push through it. Just acknowledge it with curiosity. Elena discovered she held enormous tension in her hips. As she breathed into the tightness, emotions began to surface. Old grief, unexpressed anger, forgotten disappointments. Tears streamed down her face as years of suppressed feeling released. This is beautiful work, Beto said quietly. The body stores what the mind tries to forget. You're creating space for aliveness to return. Month 2. The Revelation. 8 weeks into their work together, Elena experienced her first major breakthrough. Beto had introduced practices of self-touch, not sexual, but exploratory. Learning to touch her own skin with conscious presence, noticing texture, temperature, sensation without judgment or goal. Alone in her apartment one evening, following the guided meditation Beto had recorded for her, Elena placed her hand on her heart. She breathed deeply, following his voice. What does your body want to tell you right now? The answer came not in words, but in sensation. A wave of longing so pure and profound it took her breath away. Not longing for another person, but for herself. For the vibrant, sensual woman she'd buried under layers of achievement and responsibility. She wept with the recognition, and within the tears was something else. The first genuine spark of desire she'd felt in years. Not desire for sex specifically, but for aliveness, for full-bodied presence in her own experience. At her next session, Elena shared the experience with Beto. His face lit up with genuine joy. This is the awakening, he said. You've stopped performing feeling and started actually feeling. Everything builds from here. He explained that libido wasn't just about sexual desire for others. It was fundamentally about one's own life force, creative energy, vitality. When you disconnect from your authentic self, your libido goes offline. It's protective. But as you reconnect, as you create safety for genuine feeling, the energy naturally returns. Over the following weeks, Elena noticed changes rippling through her life. Colors seemed brighter, food tasted more vivid. She laughed more easily. Her architectural designs became more innovative, flowing from intuition rather than just technical skill. And yes, desire was returning, slowly, gently, authentically. Month 3. Preparing for intimate alchemy. I think you're ready to learn about intimate alchemy, Beto said during their 12th session. But first, I want to ensure you understand what it is and isn't. He explained that intimate alchemy was a tantric practice focused on consciously directing sexual energy through the body's energy centers. It could be practiced alone or with a partner, but the key was presence, breath, and intention, rather than outcome or performance. Traditional sexuality often focuses on building toward release, Beto explained. Intimate alchemy is about cultivating and circulating energy, allowing it to nourish your entire being rather than just seeking discharge. For Elena, the practice would begin with self-exploration, learning to generate and move sexual energy through her own body using breath, sound, movement, and conscious touch. This isn't masturbation as you might know it, Beto clarified. The goal isn't orgasm, though that may happen. The goal is to awaken and circulate energy, to reclaim your body as a source of pleasure and power. He taught her the technique in theory first, beginning with breath and presence, gradually building sensation through conscious touch, then using breath to draw the energy upward through the body, rather than focusing it genitally. The practice involved making sound to move energy, moving the body intuitively, and maintaining awareness throughout. Practice this alone for the next 2 weeks, Beto instructed. Notice what arises: sensation, emotion, resistance, pleasure. All of it is information. Elena felt nervous but intrigued. This was so far from the performance-based sexuality she'd known, the goal-oriented approach that had left her feeling empty. The practice. Week 1. The first time Elena attempted the intimate alchemy practice, she felt awkward and self-conscious. Lying in her bedroom with soft music playing, she followed Beto's guidance, beginning with deep breathing. Place your hands on your body wherever feels right, his recorded voice instructed. Not to arouse, but to connect. Notice temperature, texture, the simple fact of touch. Elena placed one hand on her heart, one on her belly. She breathed deeply, trying to quiet her critical mind. This feels silly. Am I doing it right? What if nothing happens? But slowly, as she continued breathing, awareness shifted from thoughts to sensation. She felt her heartbeat beneath her palm, the rise and fall of her breath, warmth spreading through her chest. Following the guidance, she began to explore her body with slow, reverent touch, not focusing on traditionally erogenous zones, but treating all of her skin as worthy of attention. Her arms, her thighs, her shoulders, her face. Sensation built gradually. Not dramatic, but present. A warmth, a gentle tingling, a sense of coming home to herself. When her hands eventually moved to more intimate areas, it was with the same quality of presence and curiosity. Not seeking a particular outcome, just noticing what felt good, what created sensation, what wanted attention. She began to make sound as Beto had suggested. Gentle sighs at first, then deeper vocalizations that seemed to move the energy through her body. It felt strange, but also liberating, giving voice to sensation without words. After 30 minutes, Elena rested, her body humming with subtle energy. She hadn't had an orgasm in the traditional sense, but she felt more alive, more present, more connected to herself than she had in years. The practice. Week 2. The second week of practice brought deeper experiences. Elena discovered that the energy she cultivated through conscious touch and breath could indeed be moved through her body. As she breathed deeply while experiencing pleasure, she felt warmth rising up her spine, spreading through her chest and shoulders, even reaching her head. The sensations were subtle but profound. Waves of pleasure that didn't concentrate in one area, but suffused her entire being. She found herself moving intuitively, her hips circling, her back arching, her body expressing the energy. One evening, in the midst of practice, Elena had a profound realization. For the first time, she was experiencing pleasure for herself, not performing for an imagined audience or trying to achieve a particular outcome. The simple pleasure of being alive in her body, of sensation, of breath, of presence. Tears of joy mixed with the pleasure, and Elena understood viscerally what Beto had been teaching. Libido wasn't separate from her life force. It was the same energy, creative, vital, alive. DSAL Session 15. Integration. When Elena returned to Beto's office, she was radiant. He noticed immediately. Something has shifted, he observed with a warm smile. Elena described her experiences, the breakthrough in her practice, the ripple effects in every area of her life. I feel like I've reclaimed something I didn't even know I'd lost, she said. Not just sexual desire, but desire for life itself. Appetite, enthusiasm, joy. This is the true gift of aligned libido, Beto said. It's not just about sex. It's about vitality, creativity, your capacity to feel fully alive. You've stopped performing and started genuinely experiencing. He explained that the work would continue. This was a practice, not a destination. But Elena had established the foundation: presence, self-connection, the ability to access and circulate her own energy. What about partnered intimacy? Elena asked. She had started dating again, and while she wasn't rushing into anything, she wondered how this new awareness would translate. Bring this same quality of presence, Beto advised. Choose partners who value authentic connection over performance. Communicate what you've discovered about your own pleasure and energy. True intimacy happens when two people are genuinely present, not when they're performing roles. Elena nodded, understanding. She had spent so many years trying to be what she thought others wanted. Now she knew her authentic desire, and that changed everything. 3 months later, epilogue. Elena stood in her apartment, looking out at Elliott Bay as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold. She had just completed her daily intimate alchemy practice, and her body still hummed with subtle energy. Her architectural work had evolved, becoming more intuitive and innovative. She had started painting again, something she'd abandoned in college. She laughed more. She felt more. And yes, she had begun a relationship with a kind, present man who valued authentic connection over performance. Their intimacy was unlike anything Elena had experienced before. Slow, conscious, playful, deeply satisfying. Not because of any technique, but because she showed up fully as herself, and he did the same. But the most important relationship she'd cultivated was with herself. The morning breathwork, the daily practice of presence, the ongoing dialogue with her own body and desires, these had become non-negotiable parts of her life. Elena thought back to that rainy afternoon in the cafe when she'd clicked, "Schedule consultation," desperate and disconnected. She hardly recognized that woman now. Beto had given her tools, guidance, and a safe space to explore. But the transformation had been hers. She had done the work, faced the discomfort, pushed through the resistance, and reclaimed her vitality. As darkness fell over the city, Elena smiled. She had stopped performing life and started living it. She had found her libido, not as something external to seek, but as her own essential aliveness, waiting patiently within to be remembered. The journey continued, but she was finally, fully present for it.